what Donald Trump has to do with South African land, because he's never been here. And he must keep his America, we will keep our South Africa. That's what he must do. South Africa is our land. South Africa belongs to all the people who live here in South Africa. It does not belong to Donald Trump. He can keep his America. And Ene is even worse. He's even worse.
Good evening and welcome to this breaking update that is sending ripples across the international community. I'm your host, and tonight we bring you a powerful shift in African diplomacy and leadership that has left Western powers stunned and scrambling. Just hours ago, President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa made a bold, decisive move that is being hailed as the most fearless act of African leadership on the global stage in recent times. In an unflinching declaration, Ramaphosa stood before international delegates and political observers and made it abundantly clear: Africa is done playing second fiddle. The era of imposed policies, economic intimidation, and neo-colonial interference is over. For decades, Western powers have treated Africa as a continent to extract from, to influence, to manipulate, never as a partner of equal standing. But President Ramaphosa, speaking with the weight of an entire continent behind him, has drawn a new line in the sand. He has firmly stated that Africa demands respect, not pity, partnership, not patronage, and the world is now watching in some circles, panic. Sources close to the diplomatic halls report that following this declaration, several Western envoys have urgently requested private meetings, backdoor conversations, and rapid negotiations. Their tone, no longer commanding, now pleading. The power dynamic is shifting, and Ramaphosa's move is now a symbol of something far greater than one leader's courage. It is a sign that Africa is rising, united and unapologetic. What exactly did Ramaphosa do? He refused to sign new Western-led economic proposals that many believed were cleverly disguised tools of control. Instead, he proposed a pan-African financial and trade initiative, calling on African nations to stop relying on aid programs that come with strings attached, and instead build a united internal market driven by African resources, talents, and strategies. Even more strikingly, he demanded that the IMF and World Bank undergo radical reforms if they wish to remain involved on the continent. No more loans with impossible interest rates, no more policies that cripple local industries, no more lectures from powers who themselves have histories of exploitation. Ramaphosa's message was crystal clear: Africa will write its own rules, determine its own destiny, and it will do so without begging for validation. His speech, delivered with calm authority and undeniable conviction, instantly resonated across Africa. Leaders in Nigeria, Kenya, Algeria, Ghana, and beyond have echoed his words, signaling what could become the beginning of a new African bloc and alliance that seeks equity on the global stage, rather than continued subservience. And what makes this moment even more compelling is that President Ramaphosa didn't act alone. He spoke in concert with a growing chorus of African voices, including those of President Ibrahim of Burkina Faso, Paul Kagame of Rwanda, and other leaders who have in recent years pushed back against foreign domination and media distortion. The West is now seeing what it fears most: a confident, unified, and strategic Africa, an Africa that doesn't need approval to rise, an Africa that sees through the deception of development deals that strip the continent of its resources while offering little in return. Already, we're seeing the results of Ramaphosa's bold stand. According to inside sources, Western corporations with deep operations in African nations are now re-evaluating their positions, fearful of nationalization or stricter terms. Diplomatic missions are intensifying efforts to repair relationships, and think tanks are scrambling to understand what's next. But here's the truth: what just happened isn't simply about geopolitics, it's a psychological shift. For years, African leaders were told they couldn't stand up without consequences. Today, Cyril Ramaphosa proved the opposite. He stood up and the world listened. Let us remember, this is a president leading a country with a deep history of resistance. A nation that fought against apartheid, that stood up against racial injustice, that produced giants like Nelson Mandela and Desmond Tutu. And today, Ramaphosa adds his name to that legacy of resistance and reform. This is not about confrontation. It is about correction. Africa is not at war with the West, it is simply reclaiming its voice. It is asking the world to treat it with dignity, not desperation, and if the world refuses to do so, Africa now has the leadership and the confidence to move forward on its own terms. To every young African watching tonight, let this moment serve as inspiration. The world is changing. Africa is no longer the silent partner. The continent is bold, awake, and unshaken. and its leaders, from Dakar to Johannesburg, are no longer waiting for permission to demand what is right. President Cyril Ramaphosa has sparked a fire, one that cannot be extinguished by fear or diplomacy as usual. And now, the world must adapt to a new reality. Africa is no longer asking for respect, it is commanding it.
Welcome to Talk of Africa 360, your source for insightful news, analysis, and thoughtful commentary. If you value informed perspectives and fact-based reporting, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss an update. Disclaimer: the content on this channel is based on reliable public sources and credible online information. It is intended strictly for educational and analytical purposes. We do not promote or endorse political violence, hate speech, or any form of discrimination. Our goal is to inform, not to inflame. Thanks for being here. Let's stay informed together.
What Donald Trump has to do with South African land, because he's never been here. And he must keep his America, we will keep our South Africa. That's what he must do. South Africa is our land. South Africa belongs to all the people who live here in South Africa. It does not belong to Donald Trump. He can keep his America. And Ene is even worse. He is even worse. When I meet him, I will tell him. I will say, you, Donald Trump, you are even worse because your forebears came to America. They found the indigenous Americans. They wiped them out. They killed nearly all of them.
We are witnessing the rise of nationalism, protectionism, the pursuit of narrow interests, and the decline of common cause. This is the world that we, as South Africa, a developing economy, must now navigate. But we are not daunted to navigate our path through this world that constantly changes. We will not be deterred. We are, as South Africans, a resilient people, and we will not be bullied. We will stand together as a united nation, and we will speak with one voice in defense of our national interests. President Trump, as a leader of an important country like the United States, it is important for you not to disrespect or show any disrespect to any country in the world. We want the United States to engage with the world, with other countries, with due regard, with respect, particularly Africa. Africa is the origins of humanity, and you must therefore respect your origins. President Trump's origins and his roots are in Africa. When that New Yorker facing 34 felony charges once again spread the vicious lie about white farmers being slaughtered in South Africa, what we witnessed was not just the ravings of a racist, but the despicable attempt of a desperate politician trying to dye his campaign banner with African blood. Even as he fabricated these lies, his business empire quietly registered 3 mineral exploration companies in South Africa. How ironic that a man who claims the country is slaughtering whites can't wait to carve up what he calls blood-soaked land. The old apartheid regime also used the black threat to justify atrocities, and now this man is recycling the same playbook, more laughably while peddling these myths. This self-proclaimed human rights champion had the audacity to hint that he hopes South Africa will gift him an aircraft. In his warped worldview, African nations seem to exist either as slaughterhouses awaiting his salvation or as ATMs for his personal plunder. Here's the truth he dares not confront. In the new South Africa, the scales of justice do not tip based on skin color.
He said, I want to come over and see you. That was my honor, and thank you very much for being here.
You're most welcome.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for welcoming us to this reformed White House. I've been here before, and it looks really fantastic. I must congratulate you.
Thank you.
But I also thank you for allowing our delegation. This is a very mixed delegation that you've got. We've got people from government, my ministers. I've got someone from the trade union movement who we really collaborate with, and from business as well, and our sporting legends. When I spoke to you, you said, yes, come along and bring Gary Player, bring any else, and Retief Wilson. I've brought the two of them. Gary Player, I spoke to him, and he said, look, I'm getting rather on in my years, but wishes us luck in this discussion with you. So it's a real joy, and I'd also like to thank you for allowing your people to start discussions with us at the trade level. I mean, we are essentially here to reset the relationship between the United States and South Africa. We are long-standing partners in many, many ways. We've collaborated in many fields, in space issues, in energy, and in trade, and we therefore need to reset that, particularly in the light of some of the announcements that you made on trade and investment. So we want to advance more trade between the two of us, two countries, and our people now have been empowered by yourself and by myself to start engaging, and we hope that we will be able to fuel that engagement during our talks. And we also want to discuss issues that have to do with how we promote further investments in both countries. We've got about 22 companies from South Africa that have invested in the US. That's creating a number of jobs. And similarly, you've got almost 600 companies that have invested in South Africa, and some of them have been in South Africa for more than 100 years.
That's true.
So our links are really long-lasting, and we would like to recalibrate those relations between our two countries and discuss a whole range of issues, geopolitical, the work that you're doing to bring peace around the world, in Ukraine and in the Middle East. So we value that, and we are also a great contributor to peace processes that are going on around the world. And of course, we want to discuss how we can support each other. You are a much bigger economy than we are. We're just a tiny economy, but we rely on each other on a number of issues. We've got critical minerals that you want to fuel the growth of your own economy and reindustrialize. So we have that on offer, including rare earth minerals. So all that combination of opportunity and the products that we buy from you, as well as what we sell to you, I believe makes up a really good and powerful relationship, which we need to strengthen, which we need to engender. And that is really what has brought us here. And we are really privileged to have, great South Africans in the mix. As you said, you'd like to see them as well. And I brought you a really fantastic golf book. Weighs 14 kilograms.
Oh, that sounds good.
And it showcases the golf courses in our country. Johan Rupert wrote preface, so did Annie else. And I want to showcase our golf courses. You might remember when I spoke to you, and we spoke about golf, you said I should start practicing. And I've started practicing, President, so I'm ready. But let me end just the introductory remarks by thanking you. You may not recall that 5 years ago I spoke to you during the COVID period.
Right.
And it was at a time when the whole world was going through a really cathartic moment.
Right.
And we asked for assistance, and you were able to assist us with respirators, and you kept to your word, and you delivered respirators to us. We didn't have as many in our country, and it really helped to help us deal with COVID. So I'm here also to say thank you, and to thank the people of America for having helped us during a really difficult time. being the small economy that we are, we needed help from around the world. And you were there to provide that. So thank you very much.
I remember the call.
Yeah.
We sent 150 respirators. We became the...
And we've been saying, for this issue of the land, this issue that Donald Trump fears so much, we offer this question of the land. I don't know what Donald Trump has to do with South African land, because he's never been here. And he must keep his America, we will keep our South Africa. That's what he must do. South Africa is our land. South Africa belongs to all the people who live here in South Africa. It does not belong to Donald Trump. He can keep his America. And Ene is even worse. He's even worse. When I meet him, I will tell him. I will say, you, Donald Trump, you are even worse because your forebears came to America. They found the native, the indigenous Americans. They wiped them out. They killed nearly all of them. Rine, we are living as a nation, and black and white, we are going to find solutions for our land question. So Donald Trump must leave us alone. He must leave us alone, Lauri. When we were facing apartheid, when we were facing oppression, he was not here. He did not fight side by side with us. And we were able, on our own, yes, with support of progressive forces in the world, to resolve the apartheid question. As far as I recall, Donald Trump was not around the negotiating table when we negotiated the end of apartheid. So stick around there in the White House. We will do our business here, and we will find solutions for our problems. So stay out of our issues, and we will not get involved in your issues in America. You have your own problems. Leave us alone. We are sitting now around the table.
As reactions continue to pour in from across the continent, one thing is clear. Africa is demanding respect, sovereignty, and accountability. Was this just a diplomatic misstep or a deeper sign of shifting global alliances? We'll be watching closely. If you found this story important, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real, unfiltered African news. This is Talk of Africa 360, telling the stories that matter.